Hi again. I'm sort of like a bad rash. It won't go away. So be it. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here tonight for Felicia Anderson, one of my closest and dearest friends.
It's Sam. Sam's up here.
Sorry. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here tonight for Sam Piraro, one of my closest and dearest friends. She is a true Mission College legend. He is a true Mission College legend. You know, there are very few people in this world that I truly admire, and Sam is this close to being one of them. I am frequently asked, who is the most successful coach in Mission College history? And I always give the exact same answer. Why, it's you, Sam. Sam and I are long-time close friends. Recently, when Sam was arrested for shoplifting at Olympic 7-Eleven, I was the first person he called to bail him out. Now, that's a close friendship. Sam and I have been friends for over 50 years. That is true. And I have kidded him many times in venues like this, and each time he would come up afterwards and say, "Very funny, Gary, but remember, never forget that I'm 100% Italian and all that goes with that." For some reason, that has always scared the living hell out of me, and I do mean that. Okay, enough fooling around. Now time to get serious. Let's take a closer look at why Sam Piraro is the first coach in Mission College's history to be inducted into its inaugural Hall of Fame. In 1980, Mission's first baseball season, Sam guided the Saints to a second-place finish in league play and was named Coast Conference Coach of the Year. In 1981, Sam led the Saints to a 31-win season, along with his first of 5 Coast Conference titles and Mission College's first ever state championship. Then Coach Piraro was named Coast Conference Coach of the Year, NorCal Coach of the Year, and State Coach of the Year. In 1983, Sam, his coaching staff, and players duplicated all the amazing accomplishments of the 1981 team, including the most difficult task of winning a second state championship. Coach Piraro's 7-year career at Mission concluded in 1986 with these achievements: an overall record of 190 wins, 70 losses, 2 ties. That's an amazing .731 winning percentage. 5 Coast Conference championships, including 4 in a row. 4 state baseball playoff appearances. 3 30-win seasons. And 2 California State Community College baseball championships. He was named Coast Conference Coach of the Year 5 times, NorCal Coach of the Year once, and State Baseball Coach of the Year 2 times. All these awesome accomplishments were culminated in 1996 when Sam was inducted into the California State Baseball Community College Hall of Fame. It is with deep respect that I now introduce to you the greatest coach in Mission College's 43-year history, Mr. Sam Piraro.
I know you've been sitting here for a long time, and I'm going to try to move this along. I just don't want to miss out on some of the memories that I've had being here for the 7 years I was here, and I'm going to touch on some of them, but I'll move it along. Thank yous. I want to thank Mission College Administration and the Hall of Fame Committee. I want to thank Neil and Natalie for their unbelievable work. They're the reason why we're here tonight. I want to thank Karen Yoder, the previous AD. She contacted me in 2018 and asked me if I thought that the Hall of Fame would be doable here. And she actually got things going. And I want to thank Karen for that. I wish he was here tonight. I want to thank Gary Cunningham, not just my presenter, but Gary's godfather, my daughter. He's one of my very, very best friends and confidants, and one of the best coaches. You know, he gives me credit, but I think Gary's as good a coach as there is. So thank you, Gary, for that. I want to thank the late R.J. Smith for hiring me and believing in me when I don't think I was the most qualified person for the job back in 1979. I happened to be single at the time and young, and felt probably I could go out and recruit and spend the time. And he trusted in me. I want to thank all the guests that are here tonight, and friends and former players of mine personally that took the time to come. I have some great friends that are here, and former players, coaches, so on. It's hard to name them all. I want to thank my family for their undying support of me over my career. My mom, 92-year-old mom, Sally. My daughter, Jenna, her boyfriend, Chris, my son, Jason, who played here, my grandson, Roman, who's making all that noise, my brother, Stuart, who yesterday won his 400th career win at Lincoln Baseball. He's actually the best coach in the family. Close family friend, Joe Lopez, and my wife of 41 years, Joanne, who is really the head coach of our family, and been with me through thick and thin. So thank you, Joanne, for that. I want to congratulate the fellow inductees, Felicia, Lou, Stephanie, and John. It's an honor to be recognized with you and listening to your stories. The Mission College years, there were 7 of them, but age 26 to 33. That was my age at the time, 26 to 33, and those were some of the best years of my life. I know on the film there they mentioned some of it, but you know, when I sat down and wrote this, that's what went through my mind. They were, I think, the happiest years of my life and in my career. Even though I spent a lot of years in Division I, I think this was the happiest time of my life. I want to thank those Mission players of mine. They were my guinea pigs. And I say that in a respectful way. I had coached at San Jose State for 6 years as an assistant, and I had my way of what I felt was important in terms of discipline and organization and attention to detail and accountability. I wanted to see if it might work as a head coach. And so these young men had to go through quite a bit, and they did, and they went through a lot, and they were very, very tough-minded. And I would be in the trench with them any time. And I still have so much respect for all of them that were with me those 7 years. When I think of the highlights of those years, December of '79, I was engaged with Joanne, and October 18th of 1980, we got married. We did have the entire team there at our wedding. Fall of '81, we purchased our first home, and we're officially broke. We didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, and it was that big of an investment at that point in time. Luckily, Joanne had a great job at PG&E and kind of carried the ball for us. The summer of '82, I was actually offered the San Francisco State job. I didn't want to move to San Francisco, and I was named the AD at Mission College at that time. February 8th of 1983, we welcomed our first child, Jason, and that was opening day against West Valley. It rained out. We got rained out. And I get asked this question all the time: would you have played the game, or would you have? You have to read my book to find out the answer to that. The summer of '84, I was named department chair of physical education, replacing the great Phil Sienna. Phil, I think you're here tonight. Would you please stand up? Phil, where are you? Phil Sienna.
Phil was legendary.
In fact, he looks like he could still, run a marathon. He was everything that represented our physical education department. In the fall of '85, I was offered a head coaching job at St. Mary's. Didn't want to move. The spring of '85, I was appointed the evening dean of students at Mission College, and that continued until my final year of 1986. June of 1986, I was offered the job at San Jose State. July 1st, I resigned my position. Gary Cunningham took over for me, and the district chancellor at the time was Gustavo Melander, and he gave me a leave of absence along with the great Bob Burton. Bob was the basketball coach at West Valley, and he got a leave of absence to go to Utah. So both of us took a leave. Bob came back, and I went on my way to San Jose State. And I took a pay cut to go to San Jose State, but I used that year's leave of absence to negotiate the next year, and it really helped me. So Mission helped me all 7 years across the board. I can't say enough things of what this place did for me and my family. Building the program, I interviewed for the job in June of '79, offered the job June 18th of '79, hired August 1st of '79. The recruiting process was simple. We had no cell phones then, so what I did is I called every high school coach in our area. Some of you may remember these names. Ron Von Panon of Wilcox, Frank Wright of Buxer, Kenny Smith of Peterson, Joe Winstead of Los Gatos, Hal Kolstad of Lee, Gordon Hunsey of Campbell, Fred Rasmussen of Branham, Gary Cunningham, Del Mar, Chuck Werdy of Santa Clara. So I collected about 75 to 100 names and literally called every kid that they had. Called every kid. And got their summer schedules and literally went to almost a game or two every night after I got off my job. I worked in the cannery for a summer job, get off work, take a shower, and head off to Washington Park, PAL Stadium, Central Park, Central Park, Campbell High School, Baylands Park, San Jose City, West Valley College, Blackford High School. I went everywhere. The first person I talked to, I remember this like yesterday, it was at Central Park, a gentleman by the name of Chuck Payton. Chuck Payton, Chuck was the oldest of 3 brothers that I coached at Mission. I coached Chuck, I coached Frank and Kelvin. And I can remember the conversation with Chuck. He finished his game and I said, I'm Sam Piraro, and I want you to come to Mission College. And basically he said, who in the hell are you? And what in the hell is Mission College? And that's no lie. And that's the job I had, is that they didn't know the school and they didn't know me. And so I had to proceed and work very, very hard. And I have to give myself credit. I stayed on that phone, and then I tell you, those Buxer guys, those Wilcox guys, those Peterson guys, and I can go on and on. I wanted those guys, and those were tough kids. And I built that program with those kids. But anyway, Chuck Hayden can be here. She's living in Georgia right now. Our first team meeting, we had, it was in a small classroom right outside the dance studio at Mission. And of course, they blew that place up, so they didn't know what I'm talking about. But, so that first meeting, I know on the tape it said 22. It was 32 warm bodies in there. There were 32 warm bodies. 23 of them were true freshmen. 2 were transfers from City College, and 8 were players that had been out of the game for a number of years. Could have been 2 years, 3 years, who knew? And that was our 32 guys. We had our fall prep. We had no field, so what we did was we used San Jose State. Coach Mingus was great. Let us practice there a couple of days. We practiced at Powell Stadium a couple of days. We scrimmaged at San Jose State one day. And then on Saturday and or Sunday, we got into a Sunday league. John Oldham got us into a Sunday league, and we either went to City College, Gavilan, West Valley, you name it. We were vagabonds, no field, and we're just grinding away. We shut it down after Thanksgiving. We shut it down. I mean, these poor guys were going 7 days a week. There were no limits. And we finished with 22-man roster. So we lost 10 along the way. Mark Larson was my assistant. Mark, would you please stand up? Where are you? Mark Larson. Thank you, Mark. Mark was the same as he did. He was a pitcher for me at San Jose State, and he had mentioned to me that he may want to get into coaching. He spent a year with me. It was just him and I. And that 1980 team, please stand up, that 1980 team. Anybody on that 1980 team, please stand up. You guys are the foundation of Mission Coach baseball. A little history there. Our first game was February 26th versus Hartnell. It was a 6-3 loss. Our first win, March 1st versus Ohlone. It was a 5-1 win with John McLarnon going the distance and getting us that first win. The record was 24-11, 13-8 in conference, second place in the league. Lost to Cabrillo in the playoffs, but we had 17 guys coming back for the next season. Now, lastly, I'm going to ask some players to stand up. I'm going to ask any players that played at Mission College from 1980 to 1986. Please stand to be recognized. 1980 to 1986. Please stand. The school owes you a lot. I owe you a lot. All former players of Mission College, period, whether it's from 1987 on, I know there's a bunch of those in here, please stand up. Former Mission College players. Any other players of mine, be it at San Jose State, Willow Glen, Los Gatos, wherever I've ever coached, if you would please stand up. Assistant coaches, you're only as good as your assistant coaches, we know that. I want to have a shout out to Mike Perez and Mike Luna. When I left San Jose State, I kind of was lost in the sense that I wasn't sure what I was going to do. My wife was still working at PG&E, continued working 5 years after I retired. And I can remember Mike Perez calling me and just asking, I think we had breakfast one day and just wanted to know if I'd come out and, see the team work out. And Mike Luna was there as well. I mean, Mike Luna, in my opinion, is a tremendous coach, as Mike, and these two guys deserve a lot of credit. I had 2 great years with them as an assistant coach. I didn't do much, but I was there with them, and I want to thank you, Mike, for allowing me to spend time with you guys. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Anyone who's coached, that I've had the honor of coaching with at any level, would you please stand up? At any level, please stand up. That anybody that's coached with. Like I said, I had some great assistant coaches. They were the backbone of my program and my team. And I can't say enough for what they did to me. I see Mark Wilson there. Mark, great to see you. You've been a friend of mine for, I can't tell you how long, and all the stuff you did for us over at Muni Stadium. The great Scott Hertler. And Scott, thank you for coming. Bobby, are you still here? He might have snuck out. He's the new coach here at Mission. He's been coach for a number of years, and he's got the program going. And I just want to say this. This is a special place. This is a special place. Those 7 years that I just went over are etched in my life forever. And all the great things that happened in my life resonate with the time I spent here. Thank you very much.